Hello, everybody. I'm Shippy.
I'm Grubes.
And this is episode number 18. We appreciate you guys joining us today. We have a lot of good stuff to get to. There's been a breaking development in the iPhone. We've got a kitty litter box story, which I never thought I would say in my life on a podcast or to a friend.
How we've grown.
Yes, we've grown, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk a little Cowboys. Obviously, they lost to the Bengals in a game they should have won.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cowboys cornerback Amani Aruwariye,
Nice.
who decided to try to pick up a block punt, which I saw videos. Apparently, he just turned around and saw the ball coming towards him. So I don't know if he thought maybe it was fumbled, but there's also somebody in the background like doing this whole thing, which typically means stay away.
Like OMG.
Leave it
I'm
alone.
not touching it.
Aruwariye also declined to comment afterwards. He just left, and his teammate CJ Goodwin, I believe, was his locker mate, and he just told the media, like, look, he's not talking to people, which understandably so.
Yeah, like I saw him walking down the hallway to the locker room with like a towel over his head. He was shamed.
I mean, here's the good news. You did it in the perfect season.
Yes.
Like, if this was any of the last 3 seasons and the Cowboys were fighting for playoff position, they're fighting for a chance at the NFC East title, if they had any momentum, if they had their starting quarterback, like, if you're going to make this error, this was the season to do it. I know he feels awful about it, but it's going to be okay. There's always next season if you're still on the team.
Which you might not be.
Which you might not be. That's the only bad part.
Yeah, that's kind of brutal. Like, it's kind of like being a kicker. You miss one field goal attempt, and all of a sudden you're cut the next day, and he might get that treatment. Like, I'm not sure where he is on the depth chart. I don't really know much about him.
I had never heard of him.
Yeah, so that lends itself to the possibility that he might not be around much longer.
Yeah. Well, look, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
You know,
He won't do that again, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think from now on he won't test his hands in that type of scenario.
Just might be in a flag football game or something like that.
Yeah, I heard we'll see him in the CFL.
Right.
But, I mean, I feel for the guy. It sucks, but we move onward on to, I think, the Panthers next week.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. But we're all going to die anyways.
I know. Nothing matters anymore.
DeMarvion Overshown, that sucks.
That is truly brutal.
He got rolled up on sometime in the third quarter, I believe. And per Clarence Hill Jr., he had this tweet last night. Cowboys believe linebacker DeMarvion Overshown ruptured several ligaments in his knee, more severe than an ACL. He said they'll know more on Tuesday. And today he tweeted, don't look for Overshown to be back until 2026.
Yeah, I believe I saw full knee reconstruction.
Yeah.
That is not good.
And when you saw like how he got it rolled up on and just the way it was turning, and like when I saw the camera go to him and it was just fixated on him sitting there and the way his leg was twisted and he wasn't moving it, like I didn't know what happened. I didn't see him get rolled up on, but I knew at that point I was like, this
is bad.
This is probably, I don't know if it's the same ACL, but it doesn't really matter whether you've torn it or not. If your leg is bent in that direction, you're having surgery.
Yeah, and golly, full knee reconstruction is just like I know he'll find a way to come back from it because he really does seem to be tough, motivated. He's already, I think, put out something know on Twitter about like they're giving it to God's toughest warrior or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to bring it up.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I tend to keep myself out of any situation where I could be injured, just because I'd feel pretty dumb if I injured myself playing recreational basketball and then, like, I can't DJ anymore for months because there's no workers' comp, I don't think, or anything like that.
Probably not if you're a contract worker like you are.
Yeah,
so,
like, I don't think... I would hope they would have my back, but I think if I heard it playing basketball, like, they'd be like, dude.
Yeah.
So, but
all of a sudden you see me back in there.
Yeah, I would have to, literally.
Yeah.
But we would, but like for him to respond like that, like, I I mean, he tweeted fast after it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I probably wouldn't say anything for a day or at least. Like,
No, I'd be crying in pain for 24 hours at least, I would think.
And yeah, for him to, put it out there like, hey, look, like, he's giving it to God's toughest soldier. Like, I mean, this is now going to be basically a year and a half recovery.
Yeah, if it's 2026, then literally
Yeah.
a year and a half till he's back on the football field.
I mean, it could be 2 years from now. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like, I mean, the season would start in September.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully he'd be ready by then, but I don't know. Like, with a full knee reconstruction, we are not doctors yet.
No.
But
Working on it.
Still working on it, but we're close enough to being doctors that we know full reconstruction on your knee is not good.
Indeed.
And now with his thoughts on it, we've got Micah Parsons, who they went to him. And, everybody this season, this was one of the few bright spots of this terrible season was DeMarvion Overshown and Micah Parsons. Man, that's your linebacking core.
Yeah, they're fun as hell.
They're fun as hell. They're like that's your linebacking core for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
You throw another linebacker in there, maybe through the draft or something. Now you're really cooking. And, they asked Micah Parsons after the game about it, and I think it speaks a lot to how close they were and just how devastating. And Clarence Hill mentioned how devastating of a loss this is for the team.
Dog, I cried. It's like my little bro. Like, he don't deserve that either. He really don't. So, just to understand what he's going to have to go through and to be there for him physically, mentally is just so challenging because he's so talented. The year he was having, I mean, dog, I really just don't think that's fair either.
That I saw that on SportsCenter after the game had ended. I was just sitting there. I was just gonna have it on the background for any like potential story ideas or anything like that. And when I stopped everything when I heard Micah Parsons crying, because it's like, you see him on the podcast, you see him angry, like you see that he's like an emotional guy, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
He's very charismatic, like, but to see like how big of an impact that had on him, like really hit home with me, like just because sometimes I guess you forget about that aspect of it, of like a teammate crying over it. Like my first thought was DeMarvion Overshown, but like how much of how taxing is this on Micah Parsons or the rest of the defense? A defense that finally had Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs, and there was another corner that they started together for the first time ever last night.
Oh God, I don't know sports.
Jordan Lewis, maybe. They all three basically were in the lineup for the first time ever, like this season, and I think last year because Trayvon got hurt.
Right.
So I think, it was like the first time ever that they had played together, and for you finally as a defense, you're like, all right, we finally got this thing coming together.
Yeah, we got a little core building, and
you're
all
feeling
that,
good about each other, like about yourselves, like your defense is what's kept you in these games because. Definitely not the offense without Dak in there.
Don't you talk down on Cooper Rush like that.
I'm sorry, Cooper. I know you're trying your hardest. I know you really are. Which, by the way, why did they stop running the ball?
I don't
Rico
know.
Dowdle was killing it, and he was averaging like 7 yards a carry, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, Cooper, it's your time to shine, and it's like they were gashing them up front, and that was after Cooper Beebe left the game with a concussion. With all the other injuries on the offensive line, you've lost Zach Martin. I mean, they looked really good running the football. And after so many years of like, hey, we were good in all three phases. We like to establish the run here. Like yesterday, they totally abandoned it when they should have kept it.
Yeah, I don't know what their deal is with Dowdle, if they don't fully believe in him yet, or because it feels like that's kind of happened on some of the interviews about him, like on the Fan or whatever, whether it's Jerry or whoever, kind of just been like, well, we still got to see, and we feel really good about him, but we still need a little bit more maybe. And it's like, what more do you need to see?
What else do you need to see? This guy, like, there's a note from Bobby Belt that he's the second leading rusher in like the last 6 weeks or something. He's got like the second most yards. I'm pulling it up right now. He tweets so much. It's going to be hard to find.
Good luck.
With 131 yards, Rico Dowdle is second in the NFL in rushing over the last 6 weeks. Wow.
Good Lord.
Shout out to my memory, by the way.
I'm impressed.
I am too. I was like, man, I probably got part of that wrong
Yeah.
because I'm just shooting from the hip, but
the reverberations of Sober October are still paying off.
dude, and honestly, like I'm back to, we had the holiday party last week for Stolen Water Media.
That was insane.
It was a lot of fun.
That was awesome.
And I did drink there. And then I drank last Saturday as well. Texas, Georgia, just other stuff going on.
It was a fun day.
It was a fun day.
Ain't no shame.
Ain't no shame, but I'm also like, I think I'm back to like, I'm chilling for a little bit.
Yeah, just, it's a wave.
I'm learning moderation.
Right. That is a key.
That is very key. So speaking of the Rico Dowdle stuff, Troy Aikman went on 105.3 The Fan and backed Mike McCarthy, or not backed him, but said he expects him to be the coach next season.
Yeah.
And Micah also went to bat for
That's good.
Mike McCarthy after Dak did. And when I first thought that, I was like, damn it, like, why are we doing this? Like, especially after I see last night, like, the coaching didn't ruin that game. Like,
right.
Mike McCarthy did not lose that game. Trying to pick up a block punt is what ultimately cost you the game because, if everything goes any other way than if the Cowboys are playing that game, then you expect, like, okay, we're going to milk the clock. They're going to use their timeouts, however many they had remaining, and then we're going to kick a Aubrey field goal, and then it's up to the defense to defend for however long is left on the clock, if there's anything.
You feel pretty decent about your chances.
You feel pretty decent about it. So I did feel like I am starting to sort of come back around on the Mike McCarthy thing just because how hard Micah went to bat for Dan Quinn last year, and then to see what he's done since he's been with the Commanders this year. Like, I feel like he's got a pretty good gauge on those things, no matter how perplexing some of the game management decisions.
Yeah, the clock and stuff like that.
And he's calling the plays, I think, still. And like
he is.
Maybe we could just get a new offensive coordinator to call the plays because he took over play calling from Kellen Moore last season about halfway through. So I'm coming back around on it, but I don't like it.
I don't love it, but I think there is enough there where he seems to work reasonably well with Jerry. At least understands the setup of like, look, Jerry's going to do a press conference at the same damn time you do after a game a lot of the time. He's going to give his opinions on things, and you're going to have to be ready to, react to whatever the hell he says without any heads up. You're just getting told by Clarence or whoever, like, hey, Jerry just said this while, he was on the other side of the stadium. And, I think it's also just, he won one Super Bowl. Who knows how much credit that goes to him or Aaron Rodgers or, the whole team, whatever. But he's still got that credential. And I just don't know who else is really out there that's going to fit enough of those boxes of, solid coach at the least, doesn't make too many mistakes except for, stuff like McCarthy with clock management at times, but being able to work with Jerry, being able to just accept that some of the decisions being made are just going to be completely out of your hands.
Yeah.
And just, the way the Cowboys are, like the fishbowl that you're in of, like fans are going to be able to go in and watch your players work out and, just...
You're going to feel like you're in the zoo.
Right. Just so all those different things, like, if we get the next Belichick or Tom Landry, hell yeah, let's get them. But I just don't think the Cowboys are really set up for that kind of a coach to be able to handle that kind of a structure.
Well, I have a note on Belichick here in a minute.
Yes.
But first, because I brought up, you brought up the Jerry Jones press conference at the same time as Mike McCarthy, and I remembered that I saw this last night. This from Saad Youssef, Jerry Jones after the game, on calling a punt block late. We all would say, well, why block the kick? Just take the kick and get in field goal range and kick it. After blocking the punt, we touched the ball. That all should be figured in before you decided to block the punt. Oof. So he's anti-blocking a punt and having better field position?
I guess.
With this offense?
Yeah.
You got Cooper Rush running things and an offensive line that's sometimes good. And one wide receiver. Brandon Cooks was pretty good last night.
He was okay.
Like, but he's not like the Cowboys need another receiver with CeeDee Lamb if this offense is going to get back to what it once was. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy though how great CeeDee Lamb still is, even with Cooper Rush, or I guess how bad the Bengals defense probably is.
It could be both.
It could be both, but it is like it's pretty incredible that CD still had a really good game last night. He had a great, I guess, first quarter, and then he was shut out in the second quarter. But I don't know. I think it's just weird that Jerry Jones is like, why do we block the punt?
And like I said,
isn't it the whole point of a punt? You're supposed to block it so you don't have poor field position.
Yeah, but that's what you have to deal with. Like I said, as a coach, you have to deal with Jerry questioning stuff, and he hasn't talked to Mike McCarthy yet, and they aren't on the same page clearly on a lot of things when the press conferences are happening. And like I said, McCarthy generally has to just be on the defensive and be like, okay, well, I'm reacting to this crap now, so this is my life.
Dude, I mean, I saw that and I was like, so we don't want to block punts now?
No, they're bad.
They're bad because you could possibly have a player that tries to pick it up and then the other team could recover it.
Right. You know what? I think Jerry's right.
I do too. That's so common. I've seen that in so many football games this year. It is insane. And before I get to the very best part of the Cowboys broadcast last night, I do want to mention that Bill Belichick has an offer on the table has agreed to become the next coach of North Carolina. He has provided the school with a 400-page organizational Bible with structure, payment plans, staffing choices, etc., decisions on whether to commit with UNC. He's expected to know UNC's decision within 24 hours. The reason UNC has to make this decision is because this Bible has historic levels of investment from the school. It includes salary minimums, position by position, and a willingness to hire 2 staffs, a coaching staff run by Belichick and a recruitment staff run by a sitting college GM who would require a buyout. Belichick has a college and pro version of his updated manual and has shared it with both other schools and NFL teams, but he drafted a new one specific to UNC that touched on every aspect of the program and school. He'll need the sign-off from the AD, chancellor, trustees, and boosters, and there's already been pushback from the group of 13 trustees with input from wider faculty. The investment would overhaul the school's approach to football. Belichick unsure if the school will meet his demands and is unwilling to negotiate.
I'm exhausted just hearing that.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Can you imagine being UNC and having to get sign off?
Can you not just coach?
Right. Like the dude's 72, I think, and just he's done this for 50 years now.
72. Wow, great job.
Thank you. He definitely has time to write out or have someone else write out 400 pages.
Dude.
Are they double spaced?
I doubt it.
Probably not. He probably wrote in super small font.
Hope so.
But if he's doing it, is he doing the typing with one finger on each hand thing?
No, he definitely has somebody who typed this for him.
I figure.
He's got a coaching business lawyer or something. You know, I don't know if
I need that job.
Yeah, right. By the way, part of this agreement is that it would include a guarantee that Stephen Belichick will be named the school's head coach in waiting. And this is all from @Ollie Connolly on Twitter. I don't want you to think that I read all 400 pages or have those types of sources. I just have Twitter and ran across that.
Man, that's a lot.
Dude.
And
it's I'm exhausted just from reading that.
Right. And how long is he really going to be doing it? And so it's
and
it's basically just a backdoor way to get Stephen Belichick the head coaching job.
That's what it feels like.
And hey, if you got the power to do that, great, I guess.
Right?
But do we even know if he's a good coach?
No.
Stephen?
No.
Stephen. Sorry. Thinking of Ben and Skin saying that to the East Texas boys.
You know what you sounded like? A Simpsons character.
Oh.
And you know what I did? I tuned into about a quarter and a half of the Simpsons-cast last night as I put together a very fancy new kitty litter box that we'll get into in a little bit.
We'll get to that too.
But my takeaways from the Simpsons-cast, it was a lot of fun.
It looked like it. I'll be honest, I only saw the highlights after, but
that's okay.
It did look really fun.
So my notes from it, there were no commercials. So there would be like Simpsons facts instead. Or there'd be just like Monday Night Football facts. So you would just look up and it would just be little questions and answers. There was a lot of really funny like signs that Simpsons characters had in the stands. Itchy and Scratchy were on the first down chains. So like, I think, is it Itchy? Is Itchy the cat?
Oh God.
I don't know. Which one's the cat who was tied to the first down marker, which was pretty funny. It did get kind of confusing because they would swap out a very important player with a Simpsons character at different points. And like, it was always on a very important play that like the character would come in. And like the first couple of times I was like, dude, how did they know that Homer Simpson was about to throw a touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb and they put him in on that play? And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? This broadcast is probably delayed and they're swapping it. But then I had the idea, I was like, but the Simpsons do predict everything. And this is kind of incredible that they're predicting big plays with the characters.
It's impressive.
So I put out the fact like, hey, how are they predicting these plays? And then somebody said, I'm running both broadcasts and it's a little bit behind, which
that's fair enough.
What I figured, but I wanted to do it, for the joke.
By the way, Itchy is the mouse, Scratchy is the cat.
Okay, I thought about it. I
think you nailed it.
You
did switch
I got it out. I got it backwards.
You didn't nail it.
I didn't nail it, but the Simpsons and ESPN did nail it with this. I had to tune out after a little bit just because it was a little too chaotic.
I was going to say, it feels like it would have been a little much for a whole broadcast.
Yeah.
But the idea is fun. Like, it felt a little off just because, they use the computer-generated look instead of the actual, like, animated look, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's, reasons for it. It makes it a little more versatile and all that. But it did make it feel a little weird. And even, like, not like I'm some really good audio guy, but, like, the mics,
yeah, you are.
The voices sound a little different just because I'm sure there's different, audio processing and stuff that they can do for the cartoon show compared to what they're trying to do with this, where probably just churning through a bunch of stuff and, I don't know, it just felt a little bit off.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the presentation of the audio and video, but the jokes, the content, and all that were really fun.
And Dan Orlovsky, Mina Kimes, and Drew Carter were like the ESPN analysts for this. And you could tell like it's a tough job. Like to it's hard enough to broadcast in general, but it's really tough when you have like there's a touchdown and then you hear him say, that there was a touch diddly down.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say, hearing some of the highlights, like they're having to be on top of all that too.
And there were some times where they didn't quite hit it, but it's like you've got to think like this is an incredibly difficult job. Like, and sometimes it was a little cheesy, but then you think about it, it's like, if I had kids and they liked The Simpsons, then I probably would have had to have watched that game that way, just for them to enjoy it. And I'm sure, I'm sure a lot of different families did that or big Simpsons fans. We'll play a couple clips here in a second, but I did like, it was Bart and Homer duking it out in a father-son battle. And this was all in Homer's dream. And Homer played for the Cowboys and, Bart played for the Bengals. And they had little stuff like, when the Bengals had the ball, "Eat my shorts," is what the Adams Stadium crowd would cheer. So just little stuff like that where, it was good, like little nods to The Simpsons. Like Spider Pig was the ball at one point, which was amazing.
No, like they, and obviously when you have 30 plus years of history like The Simpsons does, and good Lord, however many episodes, 600, 700, maybe nearly 1,000 plus the movie, plus, all the different things. Like, there's a lot of material to work from, but to be able to synthesize it in some way, like, I'm sure I'd be shocked if there's not some sort of a behind the scenes look at this broadcast at some point.
Yeah. And it started off like I tuned in before the game and like Homer was on the Manning cast and brought up how he wants to work like them, where they work for 3 hours, like one night a week and only for a certain amount of weeks out of the year.
Yeah, not even every week.
Yeah, not even every week. Yeah. But here for everybody is the player intros, which were fantastic last night.
Homer Simpson, Sector 17 Nuclear Power Plant.
Mo Sislak, Shelbyville Dog Training Academy.
Bart Simpson, University of South Melbourne, also known as You Smell.
Hi, Lisa Simpson, Harvard class of 28, then probably Yale class of 30. I think it's important to mix it up a little.
Nelson Munch, Springfield Elementary Detention.
Herschel Kristofsky, Clown College, also known as ASU.
I'm Ralph!
He pulled an I'm Grubes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, I saw that. Like, that was a highlight for me. Also, Stephen A. Smith was a Simpsons character, and, like, you know, like, he's already in real life super animated.
Yes.
Him as a Simpsons character, I thought was just fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me no pleasure to be here with you today because today we all bear witness to the madness of an exhausted man's hot dog fever dream. In this man's nitrate-soaked brain, he's playing football against his own son. A father pitted against his own flesh and blood. It's ridiculous, a travesty, an insult to the game of football, and a stain on our national fabric. What kind of stain? I can't say. Maybe soy sauce or gravy. Whatever it is, it's something dark and sticky and not machine washable. No, this national stain is dry cleaning only. And who's gonna pay for that? Not me. Just because I have dry cleaning money doesn't mean I'm gonna spend it on this.
If there's anybody that needed to be or fits as a cartoon character more than Stephen A. Smith, I'm not sure that I could think of a better person.
No, that was pretty damn well done.
He's animated enough in real life. So to see that come to fruition as a character on The Simpsons, it just felt so on brand for both the show and ESPN, like, simultaneously.
Yeah, and it almost didn't feel over the top enough or animated enough for it to be animated.
Exactly.
Like Stephen A. is more animated than animated Stephen A.
I agree with that. And one more thing that was pretty over the top from the broadcast was the very end of the game, after the whole blunder with the block punt, the Bengals get the ball back. And if you're watching the Simpsons alt-cast and you have the Cowboys plus 4.5, you're sitting back like, okay, maybe they'll kick a field goal. That's how they win this thing, because the Cowboys probably can't get back in field goal range, or, you know, at the very least, go to overtime, whatever. You got 4.5 points to work with. You're feeling good. One or two plays later, bam, Joe Burrow hits Lisa Simpson on the sideline, who turns and outruns Homer down the sideline. And now all of a sudden, if you had Cowboys plus 4.5, you were feeling good. Now you feel terrible, and you've lost all the money that you were probably planning on spending.
Yeah, that's how you find out that Christmas is ruined.
Yeah, so...
Sorry, kids.
Yeah, so Lisa Simpson is this year's version of the Grinch.
Yes.
Taking Christmas away from kids everywhere. Speaking of kids, Tyreek Hill is about to have a bunch of Christmases coming up. This little statistic was provided to us by Ashley in our Shippy and Grubes group text, which we very much appreciate that content. Tyreek Hill has more kids than touchdowns this season.
Please don't tell me this is true. So last weekend, Tyreek Hill welcomed another one of his kids to the world. And apparently that's the 5th child he's had this year. And how many touchdowns does Tyreek Hill have this season? Only 4. So as of right now this year, Tyreek Hill has had more kids than he's had touchdowns. Tyreek, can you score a touchdown today? At least have as many touchdowns as you had kids this year.
Okay.
Man.
So he did score a touchdown this last Sunday.
Okay.
So he now has a 1-to-1 ratio. He has as many kids as he has touchdowns. And, you know, when I was looking at that clip, there's a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot.
For both us and Tyreek Hill. I noticed, I think one of the girls, and please forgive me if I'm wrong, I think it was the same girl. Like, she had the same picture.
So maybe she's had two
of his kids? Like, that wouldn't make sense.
I'm not sure mathematically, unless they're twins.
I don't. So, actually, I can do this because in pre-pro, I discussed with Yvonne that if I mute my computer, everybody doesn't hear it.
Yes.
And so I can pause it on here, and we can do some investigative journalism.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think those are the same girls.
No,
they're
just wearing
not.
the same
They're
thing.
wearing the same red dress or a similar red dress, and they both have a Tyreek Hill jersey either on their stomach or on the kid over their shoulder. He's had 5 kids, which when I was looking at it, I was like, man, maybe I was wrong here. But then I quickly realized the math just didn't quite check out there.
I mean, you never know. Like, women are resilient.
They
and
are
strong.
very resilient, and maybe they had twins.
Right.
That would count.
There's
right?
a lot of possibilities.
A ton
but
of possibilities.
It doesn't seem to be for Tyreek. It seems that he pops them out one at a time, and they all get little jerseys. Do you think the moms bought the jerseys, the little jerseys?
Probably.
Or did he just like FedEx them to her?
They probably received like a Zelle or a Venmo from him when he was told about what happened or that he was about to be a father. Like, can you imagine how stressful that is? Like, maybe that's part of the reason that he's had a subpar season. Forget Tua getting hurt and he's dealing with Tim Boyle or Dan Boyle,
Something like that.
and Skylar Thompson, I think was the other guy.
I believe so.
Maybe it's all the baby mama drama.
Somehow I get the feeling he's not too concerned about it.
I don't think he is either. One thing that I think the Minnesota Vikings are very concerned about, specifically the defense, is upholding their reputation as the top celebrating squad in the NFL. Earlier in the season, they had the infamous ray gun celebration, and this past Sunday, they picked off Kirk Cousins in his return to Minnesota, and they decided to do the dance from White Chicks.
Oh, you're muted. Oh, my God. That's a great bit.
So, see, thank you for reminding me that I was muted.
You're welcome.
See, with this new development in technology for the podcast, I forgot that I have to unmute myself.
Hey.
But what an incredible celebration. Like because I saw people tweeting it out and they're like, they did the dance from White Chicks. And I was like, dance from White Chicks? I was like, wait, which movie was White Chicks? I remember the premise, didn't really remember who all was involved, didn't really remember anything other than 2 dudes that just pretended to be white chicks for some reason.
No, I think you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah. So, but they nailed the dance. Like the creativity, 10 out of 10. Execution, 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Vikings now.
I was going to say, like, me and Darcy have talked about it at some point. If we're going to move out of Dallas for some reason, Minnesota is our top target.
Really?
Just because it's cold.
Okay.
And we love the cold.
And you would like to go to the Target Center?
Well, yeah. I see what you did there. But yeah, we have no plans to move out of Dallas, to be clear.
Good.
But if somehow, like, Dallas fell into a sinkhole and we needed to get out, breaking news.
There was a sinkhole that happened like a week ago. Did you see
Really?
that? Yeah.
No.
I had it on the rundown, but we never got to it. I don't have it like readily available to
That's
talk
okay.
about right now, but there was a sinkhole, and if we have time at the end of the episode, I will find it in that span of time, and we can have a little sinkhole day Mayo.
Dude.
Wow.
You are crushing it the last minute or so.
You know who's not crushing it is John Heyman.
No, he's he had an adventure a couple days ago with was it Keith McPherson on WFAN and in New York. Not totally sure if he's a regular with them, but basically they had him on, and we're wanting to talk about the Juan Soto stuff because the trade or the signing hadn't happened yet. Trying to get info from him, but they kind of spent like at least 2 minutes that we've heard before the show. Basically just kind of trolling John Heyman and saying that he's like he's tied in with being paid by Scott Boras, which obviously legally, as a reporter shouldn't be happening, and, made fun of him for a couple years ago, tweeting that Arson Judge is heading to the San Francisco Giants and basically saying like, yeah, that's when we knew that, that wasn't
That
happening.
was a fake report.
That was a fake report. That was a bad report.
Yeah.
Just literally at least 2 straight minutes of basically just throwing him under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And not that John Heyman doesn't necessarily deserve it. Like
he's well known for typos, incorrect information, and
being
late tweets.
Yes. And it's a lot of just stuff with him.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, he's still kind enough to jump on as a guest. Like, during a pretty busy time, he might be getting calls and texts from, Scott Boras while he's on the air.
Yeah.
And so, at some point, it's kind of like, okay, dude, like, we get it. And I think we're about to kind of get a pretty epic meltdown from him. And the end is pretty spectacular.
2 years later,
no
I
regrets.
think
It's like
at some point, I think someone could probably drop it if they're a nice person.
what I think is it just like how I introduced you. Everybody in baseball knows who you are. So one, it's a credit to your work, your following,
Yeah.
and how.
By the way, I won't be going out with you again. The whole thing has been a disaster.
That's okay.
I can't even believe you said that to question my integrity.
Are you being serious right now?
I'm being serious. Yeah.
John,
asking me if I'm getting a cut because I have a relationship with an agent. That's outrageous. I know you're not a journalist. You don't know anything about this. I know you don't, but that's an outrageous comment. You should know that
it's
much.
Friday night at 8:30, John.
You should know that much.
And I am
I'm
not
done with you.
I am
and
not
I'm
taking
done with
this that
WFAN.
serious.
Goodbye.
John, thank you for
I
joining
can't
us,
even
John.
believe it.
Thank
I
you,
can't
John.
even believe it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time. He's got to get to bed.
So that was a pretty strong. I can't believe it.
Was he crying?
He might have been.
Or was that like? Because that sounded like crying to me. Like,
yeah, and like throughout the whole call, he kind of sounded like if you've watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, was it Bob Einstein? He was Super Dave Osborne.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but like very gravelly voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Larry David's neighbor, friend, whatever he is.
I
But
haven't really
sounded
watched
a lot like him throughout that call, but then especially when he yelled at him near the end, sounded like he was exasperated with Larry David.
Yeah. He was. It sounded like he's like one of his lips was like quivering a little bit, like either out of anger or just like sadness or both. Like because it's probably also like a culmination effect where it's just like he gets ripped on all the time on Twitter. Like I used to just click on his tweet and just look at the responses, just because people would either bring up past failures or things that he got wrong, and like it is a very tough thing to do. Like you want to be first, but you obviously want to be correct more than anything. And so you balance this thing of, do I trust, like if you have this source that maybe isn't your typical source that everybody has, do you run with what somebody's hearing in the offices? And, it seems like maybe he's taken some chances on those types of reports and it just came out to be wrong. So then there was this tweet where basically there was a Clay Holmes deal. He gets $38 million for 3 years with the Mets. John Heyman says Holmes' deal is pending physical. Great guy. I don't know why.
Cool.
I don't understand why he put that in there, but he said at Joel Sherman 1 first mentioned they may employ him as a starter, giving him, credit. Well, then this Twitter user says, did you drop any N-bombs after you hung up? Talking about the WFAN thing. And he said after. And then so Bears Blizzard says John ... And I guess he found this tweet somehow, or I guess he maybe was getting tagged in the comments, because it doesn't say John Heyman. It's not added in this. There's nothing that would have.
I think it's a thread.
Oh, is it a thread?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sorry.
I'm pretty sure that's why. Like they don't show the ats anymore on threads. It's a little weird, but yeah, like someone tweeted to John Heyman, did you drop any N-bombs when you hung up? And John Heyman says after, and then what does he say?
He says, I thought he said F-bombs.
So he even reads in typo.
Yeah, exactly. Like at least he's consistent.
I respect it.
I
don't think it helps his credibility anymore.
Nope,
but
not at all. Not at all.
Jeez.
But he is consistent with it, that he always has typos. He thinks in them. He reads them. He types them. So
Arson Judge.
Thoughts and prayers to John Heyman. I hope that he fixes whatever it is that leads to all these typo errors.
I think he's too far gone, man.
I know, and it just sucks, you know. I mean, it's funny as hell especially for us to just react to it, but I do feel for the guy deep down that he, you know, he gets ripped on all the time for this. He just endured 2 minutes of it. His credibility was questioned. And, you know, he even said, like, you guys could drop it at some point.
Right, yeah. He said, like, a nice person would drop this,
yeah,
you
but
know,
they're New
at
York.
some point.
You're in New York, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not about being
what
nice.
are they ever nice about anything?
Yeah. Got to be ripped.
You got to be ripped. I found this story. We're done with sports. I just want to be clear. We're done with sports.
Tired of sports.
Done. I found this story, and it really hit home for me. It's from Sean Kernan of Yahoo Life.
Oh.
And basically, it's just this whole thing about, you know, he had an issue with decluttering. Him and his partner, like, they struggled with it, and, you know, she was better about, like, just get rid of it, just throw things away. And he would just kind of hold on to things where each object matters. It had a story.
Yeah.
And this story is just talking about, like, basically, if you haven't thought of it in 6 months, like, you should just get rid of it. You know, because, you know, with the presence of distractions, it increases stress. Like, I know when I clean my apartment, I get a thorough cleaning. Like, I feel better. And, like, I want to sit on my couch. I want to spend time at home. It's just a more calm environment for me to be in. So it's like, I was like, damn, I need to check this out. And so basically, you know, some stuff is not clutter. It's like, it makes your home a home. You know, your home is very homey. There's a lot of good things. It's not cluttered. Like, it seems very, very clean, and I envy it because my place is not that way.
And to be clear, it's not because of me. It's because of Darcy.
And
she is like, she did some interior decorating as before, you know, she took on her new job, and, like, she's got a great eye for that stuff, but, like, she basically just tells me, put this there and stay out of the way.
Dude, that is the way
That's how it should be.
That is how it should be. And so, yeah, there was, like, basically he just talks about how first of all, he made money because he sold a lot of the stuff that he didn't need anymore, didn't want anymore, and how now he's reduced his clutter in his home and he just feels better. And I wanted to just, you know, talk about it just because it's like, it's something I struggle with, and I'm in the process of doing that. He mentions, you know, having a bunch of clothes that he hasn't worn in forever, and I struggle with that, where I'll see something like, I should get rid of that. And I'm like, no, what if?
Yeah,
what
like,
if
maybe
I'll
want to
wear
wear
that one day?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what it's done? It has just sat in my closet.
Yeah, I've run into that, like, with, you know, because of the different teams I've worked with. I've got a bunch of different polos and stuff like that with, you know, the team logo.
Time.
And it's awesome, but it's also like, I'm not super likely to wear a polo.
Yeah.
Especially if it's got a team logo on it.
Unless you start golfing.
True, and that's not very likely to happen.
True.
But yeah, where you just kind of, but I also don't quite feel ready to throw it away, because maybe there is going to be an occasion where, you know, I want to dress up a little bit nicer, but I want to show that I like sports too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so it's just kind of a, you know, it's taking up like this much space in my closet. It's, you know, fine. But yeah, like, it's, you know, living with two other people now, you know, Darcy and her son, Granger, and, you know, like, there's a lot, we have a decent size place, you know, for 3 people, but it's still not, it can still feel a little cramped if we're not careful of, you know, hey, you know, Granger's got all this stuff, Darcy's got all this stuff, I've got some stuff, and you kind of realize, like, you know, especially from my side, like, how much of this do I need? You know, how much is redundant because Darcy's probably got something better, you know, nicer looking than what I do, like, of different chairs or whatever. And so, yeah, it becomes a weird game of, you know, you don't want to throw stuff away because, you know, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
But you also don't like seeing, you know, a closet full of just stuff that, you know, you haven't touched. And, you know, for me, like, basically I've moved like 3 times in the last year.
Damn. And that's one thing that the article mentions is like moving, and like how all this extra stuff just makes it so much more difficult. And I just moved last May, and that was my second time to move in about 4 years. I'm I'm probably about to move again because the new spot, like, it's fine, but it's just, I think I need something else,
Understand.
So I think this would be something really good for me to accomplish, soon, but also just before my next move.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're all good. Like, it's definitely something like I've tried to do with each move of, getting rid of some stuff, but as, most of all of those moves happened since I met Darcy, so some of her stuff has been at my places too, and so it just becomes like, well, let's just bring it to the next place, and then we can figure out if we have space for it, if we need it, and there's different ways of doing what this guy is saying.
Yeah.
And you kind of figure out what works for you. And like, me and Darcy hadn't fully lived together before. And then considering, a kid that, he's going to have some stuff that he wants to keep, some stuff that he grows out of. And so it's just trying to find this balance of, we have so much space in this townhome, but what do we do with it?
Yeah. And the 6-month rule that he has here, it mentions that if you haven't used something in the prior 6 months, you're not going to use it in the subsequent 6 years.
Oh.
Which, like, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, damn. Like,
that feels pretty accurate.
But it's like, for me, it's like my initial reaction when I go through my stuff, a lot of my stuff, and this isn't like clothes, like, if it's like clothing or things I could give away. I gave away a bunch of clothes like 6 months ago, I think maybe. But it's like other stuff, like little games or things like that. Like, I end up just throwing them away.
Right.
And like, I don't feel right about just throwing them away because I could either like they did, sell it and get money from it, or B, like, there's somebody else out there that could use what I have that I don't need anymore. But my problem is I get very overwhelmed with the thought of like, how do I find that person, or what's the best way to sell my stuff? Like, I start thinking about that, and it starts to overwhelm me, and then I'm just like, I'll just keep it.
Yeah, screw it.
Yeah,
like I don't want to
fine.
deal with Facebook Marketplace
Exactly.
or doing some weird garage sale, and all of a sudden these weirdos are at my place.
And he mentioned that he did that, and a lot of the stuff that he sold, like, he would throw stuff in and like sweeten the deal just to get rid of stuff, and also like, look, you're getting money you weren't expecting to have or expecting to get back on this stuff. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, no need to get too greedy.
Right. So, no, I just thought it was interesting, and I was curious, like, I don't know, like, how you dealt with all of that, if you struggled with the same thing, or if,
Yeah, like I said, mostly it's just trusting Darcy because she's way better at that stuff than I am, and for the most part, I didn't really have a ton of stuff. Like, I think I've mentioned before on our show that the first time Darcy came over when we started dating, she saw my place. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and I was living by myself, and I'd been there 4 years.
Yeah.
But, I didn't have anything put up. I didn't, everything was just kind of there.
It felt like there was more stuff in your storage unit than in your apartment.
Yeah. Like the closets were, pretty much storage and all that. And yeah, her question to me was, did you just move in? I was like, no, I moved in 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And she told me that she like called her mom after, just laughing like, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. No, like in my scenario, I have a ton of stuff that I've just kept for the longest time. Like, I still have stuff from like college or high school. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
And like, a lot of it has like a sentimental meaning to me, but at the same time, like, it's also just taking up space.
Right.
And it's like, I can't keep these things forever. So, just something that I'm like kind of learning and growing through. And I saw that article, and it was like kind of eye-opening to me. So I'm getting to the point where like, I think it's time for me to go through it. And so by this next time that I move, I'm moving with like a very simplified, like a more simplified version of what I've got now.
Yeah. So I think you'll be fine. And, especially when you do find your new place and get a better idea of, just how it's all set up, you'll have an idea of what's worth keeping. And, maybe you do get a storage unit for a little bit just to double check if there's anything that you wind up needing. But if it's just clutter and random stuff, you'll be like, yeah, I don't really feel like moving this.
Well, one thing I'm definitely keeping in my move is the thing I put together yesterday during the Simpsons-cast that I mentioned earlier. a cat litter self-cleaning automated box.
Good Lord.
I've had it for 1 day, and this is hands down the best thing I have ever purchased. It comes with an app where I can look and see how long and when our cat Biscuit goes in and uses it.
Made some biscuits.
Yeah. Like I just put this together yesterday, and it is the most incredible thing. Like, I have a video here I'm gonna play, and it's just like, basically it sifts through the whole thing. Like, after he's gone, the app tells you when it's waiting for the clumping to finish.
Okay.
And then look, it just
This is amazing.
just
Probably one of
combs
my
through
best purchases.
all of the cat litter and drops it into a trash bag underneath it, that whenever that is full or about to get full, I can open it, tie the bag, go drop it into the trash, put another bag in there, and it's good to go.
Man, you texted me about this a couple days ago. I think that you were thinking about getting it.
Yes.
And I'm very intrigued by it too, because I've got 3 cats here.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it works for
And-
multiple cats.
Right.
And so if it cleans after one cat and then another cat's like, wait, it's my turn, there's an infrared thing that sees the cat and will stop it from moving so it doesn't injure the cat.
That's really well thought of.
Dude, I was a little hesitant to buy it, but I got it on Cyber Monday, and I'm already like, I am so, like, this is going to save me so much time.
Yeah.
And like we were just talking about, like, looking around and seeing things that stress you out. Looking over and seeing the litter box having a bunch of crap in it, like, was just like, oh man, like.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Like, it's not that big a deal when it comes down to it.
I hate it.
I don't love it. Like,
Yeah.
Me and Darcy probably split duty on doing that job.
I do 100% of it because
Oh.
it's like I can handle the, like, grossness,
Yeah.
So I let my girlfriend, like, do other things,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll bite the bullet on that one. This best purchase I've ever made.
I'm very intrigued. Like, I was telling you, we've got like it's called a litter genie. That it's basically just a trash can that's got like a little divider that you can push in to kind of cut off the bag essentially without cutting it.
Yeah.
But it hides the smell of the kitty poo.
Genius.
And pee, which I thought we were doing pretty well with that, but now it's like, got to keep up with Shippy. So, as soon as Darcy watches this episode, she's going to be like, babe, when are we getting that?
Dude.
And I'll be like, I don't know. But then I'll like pull a blanket from.
You'll do a giant reveal.
Yeah, and be like, here it is.
A kitty litter reveal on Christmas.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you're welcome, babe.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it yet.
You're welcome, Darcy. It also keeps track of like every interaction that happens. So it'll tell you exactly, like, I was not awake, but apparently Biscuit used the toilet like 4 times this morning.
Congrats.
Yeah. I don't know if I need to take him to the vet or something.
Yeah, like what are the times on it if you don't mind? If
Let's
you have
see.
them.
Yeah, I got him. Let's see. He entered the device at. Wow, why does he keep going in there? 5 a.m., 5:03 a.m. He was in there at 4:52 a.m. I wonder if maybe he went in the infrared thing, if that's what it's saying.
And maybe it caught.
And maybe
yeah.
He may have just got in the way of it, like while I was doing his thing.
That would make sense.
I don't think he was in there that much.
Yeah, I think you would know if he was. Having trouble.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty specific time, and it doesn't seem like it's happening too much outside of that, I guess.
No, and like when I first got it, like his first time in there, he was in there for 3 minutes because he was like looking around.
Yeah.
There was like a light on in there. He wanted to check it out. And then like the next one, he was like 18 seconds. So he was already comfortable with it. But like I said, I just got this yesterday, so I'm still like learning it. But it does show, and it shows like how much the cat weighs every time it goes in. It shows its working status, if it's in standby, waiting on clumping, or if it's cleaning.
Lord.
Dude, I was skeptical. I was worried. It wasn't like super cheap, but it's also like, to me, if this thing lasts me 5 years, even 1 year, like it's worth every penny.
It pays for itself.
It does pay for itself. So,
okay. I think I've been talked into it. So
it's amazing.
I was very intrigued when you were telling me about it, but I was like, we're doing okay. And then, I'm sold.
I'm never. I don't know the last time I was this happy with spending money on something. I'm typically pretty frugal. I like to save my money, like until something breaks or it doesn't work anymore. I'll just keep rocking with it. Nope, this was a great decision. Now let's talk about flying. And do you put your phone in airplane mode whenever you take off?
Yeah, I try to be mostly a rule follower, so I tend to feel like, all right, fine, I'll do it just to, till we, get to this point where they say, okay, you can get your Wi-Fi and all that again, but, because I can still have my Kindle out if I brought that, or, just raw dog it for, 15 minutes. Have you?
No,
okay.
We've talked about raw dogging flights on here, right?
Yeah,
I think
we
at
have.
the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because, because I was talking about, that was when I was going to Mexico, or I had just gone to Mexico, and I absolutely do that. I don't have any headphones or nothing. And so here's a pilot explaining if you don't raw dog the flight and if you don't put your phone in airplane mode during takeoff, what kind of issues you could be causing them.
This is just a friendly PSA that the airplane mode button on your phone is not a conspiracy. So if you forget to put your phone on airplane mode, no, it's not the end of the world. The plane will not fall out of the sky, and it won't even mess with the systems on board. However, it does have the potential to mess with the headsets. If you have an aircraft with 70, 80, 150 people on board, and even 3 or 4 people's phones start to try to make a connection to a radio tower for an incoming phone call, it sends out radio waves. There's the potential that those radio waves can interfere with the radio waves of the headset that the pilots are using. Last night in San Francisco, we had pushed off the gate. We were talking to the rampers. We disconnected from the tug, started the engines, and then once we got the plane turned around, we started headed towards the taxiways, and I called up ground to get our clearance as to which direction we had to go. And as soon as we start getting the directions, there's like this really annoying buzz going through the headset, and it kind of sounds like there's a mosquito in my ear. Like I said, it's not end of the world, but it's definitely pretty annoying.
Okay.
Basically, minor inconvenience for these guys.
Yeah, not a huge deal, as he said. The planes aren't going to fall out of the sky or anything, but, it's a courtesy.
Here's my thing, though.
Uh-oh.
Here's my thing. If the plane's not going to fall out of the sky, you're not going to injure anybody. The only thing that's going to happen is you might have to deal with a little ringing in your ear. Is it really that big of a deal? Like, can I not send off one final I love you, goodbye text message or something? Like
forever.
Could be.
You never know.
You never know. Life is short.
Indeed.
And very unpredictable.
And doesn't matter, though.
It doesn't matter because we all die. But
yeah, like I can see both sides, Shippy.
But like, think about it. You understand this inconvenience. How annoying is it at the American Airlines Center when people stand in front of you and you can't see the ice?
Right.
And
I very much have dealt with that.
And is it inconvenient? Sure.
Yeah.
Am I saying something to people, though, or making a TikTok about? Well, I guess I'm talking about it on the podcast right now.
Yeah.
But if you want to stand in front of me, you can. I mean, I'm just going to be back behind you like Jake Ottinger, trying to look around you to see what's going on.
Yeah, and you still got a monitor.
No, my monitor is going out.
Oh, no.
It randomly will go black. So sometimes, like last Mavericks game, God, I forget who we were playing. It was Grizzlies. Down the stretch, close game. We're taking some big free throws. Everybody's standing in front of me, can't see. Look up at my monitor. It goes out.
Ooh.
I said on my headset, I go, hey, I can't see let me know if they make it or not, like, so I can hit the free throw sound.
Good Lord.
So, yeah, they're supposed to be fixing it soon. Hopefully. But
I know if Scott Davidson's on it, he got the Wolf. He's got this.
He will take care of it in no time. But
yeah, like, it's definitely more just an inconvenience. And, yeah, if you need to pop off one last text to, people saying, hey, taking off and all that stuff, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm also not a pilot. I also don't have to deal with it. One last thing here. The iPhone has a new feature that could run off telemarketers. I just updated my phone today on accident because I finally went to sleep with my phone connected to the charger. So it finally updated without me knowing. I woke up and all the reactions and stuff were different colors. My screenshots look different. And
the photos are weird looking.
Yeah, it's like
the photo
albums.
It's
like, oh yeah, the photo album's weird. There's like something that was streaming, moving.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. But a new feature that you demonstrated to me earlier is the record call feature, where you can, if somebody calls you, you call somebody. There's a thing in the top left. You can hit it, it'll say like about to record call with 3 beeps, and then it says like now recording.
Yeah,
So
it gives both sides a heads up.
Yeah, it gives both sides a heads up. And now you could use this feature to run off telemarketers that you're telling that you want to be on the do not call list. They don't care. They just keep calling because they want to keep making money. I don't know if that's how they make money, but new feature for you. If you're
it'll apparently cause them to be like, okay, we don't want to deal with that. So
because like I guess would that be? Could you sue them or something, or how does that like?
I don't totally know why, but it was basically a Reddit thread that I saw. But it makes enough sense where it's just like, maybe along the lines of, it's probably about the same as hanging up, really, or just not picking it up.
Yeah.
But I think maybe for whatever reason they hear, hey, this call is being recorded. Like, oh, well, I don't want to deal with that, or we're not legit, so just don't want to deal with it.
So here's my challenge to both of us.
Mm-hmm.
If we see any telemarketer spam potential calls, I'm going to start answering mine and hit the record call.
See if it works.
Maybe mess with them a little bit.
Yeah.
See if they just hang up. See what happens.
You never know.
Never know. But
we'll find our results next week.
We'll find our results next week. I'm sure I'll get probably called by them right after. I think I got like 2 calls during this episode. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm just really happy we did another show. I think we kicked ass. Number 18 in the books.
Number 18 in the books. Shout out to James Neal.
Yeah.
It's only 18 I could think of.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin Elster?
Is that right?
I don't know.
You can look it up while I thank everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Shippy.
I'm Grubes.
And we appreciate you very much supporting us here on Shippy and Grubes, a Stolen Water Media production. Thank you to Yvonne for recording us today. Thank you for everybody for tuning in, subscribing. Thank you to Tyreek Hill for the fun story. Thank you to the Minnesota Vikings for all of their fun celebrations.
Yeah, it looks like he was 18. Nailed it.
Grubes nailed it. I should have just known. We should have just cut the episode. Thank you to everybody for joining us, and good luck out there to everyone in the future.
We love you.
We do love you a lot.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.